Welcome to the Now to Next podcast, where every week we provide wisdom on how to press play after a traumatic pause. If you are starting up or starting over in any area of your life or your business, subscribe and listen as we share real life stories from actual people who have pressed play and are winning after nearly losing it all. And now, your host, Octoria Robinson.
Hi, and welcome to the Now to Next podcast, where we are providing weekly inspiration and revelation for your transformation. Are you ready to press play today? Let's get rocking, my friends. Join me in welcoming Marcia Hall. How are you?
I am blessed and highly favored today.
Amen. We'll take some of that. Thank you for being a guest on our show. We are super pumped to hear your awesome story of triumph. Before we get started with all that good stuff, would you take a moment to just share a little bit about yourself for our listeners?
Sure. My name is Marcia Hall. I am a Tampanian, as they say. You have to be careful with that word. But I was born and raised here in Tampa, in the projects, as they call affordable housing now. But back in my day, it was the projects. Mm-hmm. But I am presently married to a wonderful man after enduring other hardships in relationships, Bruce Hall. We have 3 children, and we just had our first grandchild 2 months ago. So we are excited, looking forward to spoiling her. Her name is Destiny, and I thank God for her.
I'm jealous. Congratulations, though, on the new addition. That's amazing. Well, guys, you know I'm back to what I love to do, which is spreading and sharing hope. If you're tuning in for the first time, guys, you are in for a treat. Our whole goal with our podcast is to provide a platform where we can spread hope through real people who've had real challenges and are walking now in real victory. We come with authentic conversations about some really deep and in some cases dark places. And because of our love for you, yes, we're going and willing to revisit those areas and times and spaces so we can transport hope and help as well as motivation to help you press play after a traumatic pause. With that shared, I'm going to go ahead and give the floor to Marcia. I can't wait to hear what she has to share.
Thank you. I want to start with just knowing that God is on our side. I have a story that I have to tell because of the triumph and also the victory out of this whole process that I went through. Just less than 3 years ago, my family and I had to face a news of the big C, as we call it in our society, cancer. It started off with me simply feeling bad for a couple of weeks, thinking it was a stomach virus that goes around in the office. But we found ourselves at the hospital. The doctors could not find anything wrong, why I was sick, why I was dehydrated, why I couldn't hold any food on my stomach. But we told them, hey, we're here for a reason. You have to find out. So they did start series of testing on me and looking at my stomach, looking at my throat, looking at the opposite end of my body, and finding ourselves in a midst of finding out that a large mass is in my colon and not allowing me to properly release myself. So everything was coming out the other end. And when the doctor told us this, God did not allow me to hear the word cancer. All I heard was a mass. And as you know, the doctors went on with their process and their talking about it and deciding what it could be and what it couldn't be, and all those things. But the same time, your mind is racing on what could it be. Your family is not sure if it's serious or is it deadly. All these emotions are racing through our body, our minds. So when we got the news that it was a mass, but even more than that, the doctors told my husband that they discovered it is cancer, colon cancer. It's not stage 1. It's not stage 2. It's not even 3. It's a stage 4.
Wow.
Now, can you imagine hearing this? You're a healthy woman in your 50s. You don't have any problem with your blood pressure. You don't have any problem with sugar. You don't have any problem. You may be a little overweight because of having children and getting older. But can you imagine? You think you're just sick from a stomach virus, but you find out that you have colon cancer, and not just colon cancer, stage 4. I don't know if you realize in stage 4 of cancer of any form that it should be spread over your body in different organs. So we had to deal with that. And the doctors had to look into that, extending the examination on me to see if maybe the cancer has connected itself another part of my body.
Marcia, I have to ask you a question. You asked such a thought-provoking one for us. Can we imagine? And in most cases, there are probably people who are listening, to include myself, who can't imagine. So help us understand what that moment was like for you in your own words. What did that specific moment feel like when you got some earth-shattering, life-altering, even life-ending news? What was that like for you?
Well, to start off is, do I believe this? Is this really happening to me? Is it really happening to me at this time of my life? There was no symptoms. There was no reasoning. So the devastation to hear that I have something that could kill me in seconds. The emotions of thinking about your family, what my children are going to do without me. I'm not going to be able to live to see my grandchild, my first grandbaby. And then you look within yourself. You say, I'm going to beat this. I have to. I have too much to live for. But at the same time, you're torn with the unbelief of just hearing the news that you just got. And your emotions is up to the highest point that a human being emotions could go without cracking under pressure.
Wow. So how did you avoid cracking?
I don't know where your audience may stand with their faith in God, but my faith in God snatched me out of that darkness. I can't say I did it. I can't say my husband did it, my family, even the doctors and nurses. They assist God, but God snatched me out. I can remember one night laying in the bed in the hospital, and it was dark in the room. And I remember my night nurse coming in and introducing herself as the shift changed. And she asked me if I needed anything. I said, no, I didn't need anything tangibly or humanly. But when she walked out the door, I could remember an old hymn came back that I used to hear in the church. And it says, just have a little talk with Jesus. He'll make it right. And I want y'all to know I had a talk with Jesus. I said, Lord, if you raise me up, I'm going to give you the glory. If you raise me up, I will, when my feet hit the ground, I will continue to run and do what you have assigned me to do. But Lord, you got to help me with my unbelief right now. And I began to sing that song. And I can remember being lifted up in my spirit. I can remember in the room, I saw myself within myself as I sung that song that the old saints of the church would sing. Just have a little talk with Jesus. He will make it right. And I had to go on just off of those few words. He will make it right. He will make it right.
Wow. I'm sure some people are probably wondering what that conversation was like. I have referenced this movie in the past. It came out in 2019. It's called Breakthrough. And when you were talking, I saw a scene in my head come back to my memory where the mother who had just found out her son had been without any breath or activity in his lungs, mind, no pulse, no nothing for over 45 minutes. And they literally kept him on the life support just long enough for her to come and say goodbye while his body was still physically warm based off of those life-saving tools. She wept. I mean, even though it was a movie, it felt so real, her tears. And she started asking those questions. I don't understand, God. And what you need to know if you haven't seen the movie is that was an adopted son. She had some reasons why she couldn't conceive children on her own. So this adopted son that she prayed and believed that God brought into her midst was laying on a bed and had been declared dead. And her only assignment at that moment, based on the doctors, was to just say goodbye. But this woman began to say some things that I feel like hope surging through my body every time I recollect the thoughts. Her final statement was that, Holy Spirit, send life back into the body of my son now. And then all of a sudden, the machine that had flat lines picked up a pulse. After 45 minutes of no life, a pulse came. So I thought about that scene when you said I had a little talk with Jesus and he made everything all right with you. I want you to share for our listeners, Marcia, what that all right looked like for you. How did you overcome something that was supposed to kill you?
Well, the next morning, my whole spirit, my whole thinking had totally changed from death sentence to life sentence. I text a few of my friends, my praying buddies, to let them know that everything's going to be all right. Now, it's one thing to know that you know, but to confess it to others, it's a whole different ball game. That means it's out there in the universe, as we say. And God is not slack on his promises. He gave me another word. He said, with long life will I satisfy you. And he had a mission for me to do. And that was my morning after I had a talk with Jesus. He made it right.
Wow. So I could see where that provided an incredible amount of peace, because it's providing peace even as I'm listening to you retell your story. What physically happened after?
The doctors came in. They said, definitely this is what's going on. We need to take her to the OR. We need to operate on her immediately. My husband called my daughters in that morning. We all sat around my bed as they rolled me out of my room down to the area where they prepped me for the operation. The nurses, the doctors surrounding us was amazed of the attitude we showed them, the words we were speaking to them, the whole look of our family, no fear look in our faces, no concern, knowing that God will make it all right. So I went through my operation. It was a 6 to 7 hour operation. I came out of that operation. My recovery was slow. But with the doctor's help and instructions, in a week and a half time, the tubes was removed from my nose.
Wow.
I was up and walking around. And even with that, just showing the outward of what I believe. That's a hard thing to do, is to show on your outside of yourself where other people can see that God is going to make it all right. It's okay. It's going to be okay. Mm. When we go through struggles, when we go through the insecurity of our lives, it's hard. You can put up a front for a few minutes, but it is hard to obtain that, to keep it, so others won't see your weakness, so others won't see you down and out. Because as human beings, we're a proud people. But during that operation, during that recovery time, it had covered a whole 28 days total in the hospital. From the time I walked in to the emergency room to the time they discovered what was going on with my body and the time of my recovery.
Wow.
In the hospital.
So 28 days, 6 to 8 hours of surgery, having to press through probably one of the most difficult spaces in your life, but having access to supernatural peace and hope to do it with a God type attitude. That's absolutely exceptional. Now, I want to just dig a little bit deeper because we have a very broad spectrum of listeners. Some may be thinking, well, Marcia, that was really good. And I even felt a few things in my heart as you shared, but I didn't have no morning after marathon of hope. I woke up the next day depressed. I woke up the next day feeling angry. I woke up the next day feeling disappointed, discouraged, afraid, upset with God, feeling like I didn't deserve this. I woke up a mess. And if I be truthful with you, I woke up today a mess because of the same thing. What would you say to them right now as they listen?
I would say to them, I understand. Not saying that each morning I woke up with the victory on my mind or my heart. There was times I was scared. There was times that I wasn't sure. There was times that I was a hot mess. But there was also times of hope. There were also some times of peace. As the Bible tells us, He gives us peace that's past understanding. Some mornings I didn't realize why or where the peace came from, but all I felt was deep down in my hearts of hearts, the peace. So I would say to your listeners, God is still here. 3 years later, even in my situation, even in your situation, He can give us peace. But there's one decision I had to make, is will I believe that this will kill me, or will I believe that God or the doctors will help me stay alive?
Wow. That's a profound thought to have in the midst of so much trauma and earth-shattering news. What do you feel like equipped you to get to that place? And in fact, before I get you to respond, how long did it take after your diagnosis, surgery, etc.? How long did it take you to get to that thought that you just stated?
I don't know where to start with that. That is such that is just a deep question that I have to physically look back, because I've come out of it now. Mm-hmm. And because I've been out of it for a while, I don't even know if it exists. But I know I'm human as well. When I came to that point to make that fine decision, to make that 360 turn, was the night I had that talk with Jesus. I had to, because I knew I was facing too much to take on my own. I knew I was facing, and my husband couldn't help me. My children couldn't help me, because it was happening to me. You know, sometimes we feel alone because we going through it ourselves, and that someone else won't understand. Believe me, there is people out there that understands. I just want you to reach out to them like I did. I talked to the doctors. I talked to the nurses. But I didn't talk to them with the death sentence. I talked to them with the life sentence.
Wow. What a healthy perspective. I deeply appreciate you. Now we understand that you are very optimistic, and you have a healthy attitude and a solution-focused mindset. How are you doing in your physical body? You were diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. You went through the surgery. You were in the hospital for a certain period of time. Where are you at right now with that diagnosis?
I am free of cancer.
Wow.
My last checkup. I feel healthy every day. Now I'm getting older. I'm over 50 now, so there's, some ailments that come along with the flesh breaking down as you get older. But relating to my illness, I feel stronger. I actually feel much better than before. And I just want to encourage everyone to, as they say, there is light at the end of the tunnel. But your light can be 100 watt or it can be 40. It's up to you, the power of that light.
Wow. I agree. I completely agree. Well, Marcia, you have been a gem. Guys, I may sound like I'm a little at loss for words. It's because I actually am. I'm hearing this story for the first time alongside you, and the hope and joy and strength and an absolute faith, confidence that Marcia is expressing through the retelling of her story is mind-blowing. Many of you today may be listening and are still troubled with the idea of possessing that mindset, that attitude, or that way of living and viewing life, even for a moment, let alone a day or a lifetime. I want you to know that Marcia came on this show today to be a resource to you. We only have a limited amount of time to share a big, long journey. I want to now give her the opportunity. If you here who are listening right now are saying, I need more, I need questions answered, I have some specific things that I want to express and share with her and to help me personally process this regarding my life or someone that I love and they're walking through it. Or maybe you're listening and you've had a loved one who died from cancer and you're still hurt and your life is being impacted by the loss of a loved one. And you just want an opportunity to talk with someone who has come out on the other side of a stage 4 diagnosis. If you don't know the significance of that stage, I admonish you to look it up because you are listening to a serious miracle. And with being blessed by God and being a miracle, there comes great ability to share and help others experience and access miracles in their lives. Marcia, would you please share ways that our listeners can connect with you?
Sure. If you want to email me, you can do so at Marcia Hall. That's spelled MarciaHall, the number 5 at yahoo.com. And also, I just want to share with the listeners, before and going through this illness, God had given me a vision to start a mobile shower unit for the homeless called Mr. Bubbles. And that was another element in my life when I got this news, is that I had a purpose that I had to fulfill. And I can remember going to a women's retreat after my treatments, and they asked us to put a board together to tell what we saw, how we saw our lives in the next few months. And the first thing came to my mind, I was looking through the magazine, it says, what's next? And I asked God, what's next after this? After this sickness, after this struggle, after this insurity such deeply in my heart, what do I do next? And God reminded me of the mission that He had assigned me. And I promised Him, once my feet hit the ground again, I will go running. And that's what I have done. I found a purpose and have kept my eyes on that mark. If you want to know anything about that, email me at mrbubblesshowers@gmail.com, and that's spelled out MRBUBBLEZ, showers, SHOWERS @gmail.com. I pray that I may have used a word or a sentence to encourage your heart to ask the question, Lord, what is next after what I'm going through or what I'm feeling or what I've gone through? What is next? What is next?
What is next, my friends? That's something you'll have to personally decide. Guys, remember this. Trauma is not the end of your story. Triumph is. I look forward to connecting with you soon. Until that time, good day.
Thank you for tuning into our podcast today. For all things Launch Now, log on to launchnowus.com for info on products, resources, and upcoming events. We are looking forward to connecting with you and enriching your life through our next episode. And remember, you have what it takes to press play. Have a super duper epic week.